let's have a look at Canadian Solar and the market's reaction to the company's earnings release last night. So yesterday, just before the market closed, the company was up almost 4% on the day. And we can see that in the pre-market today, there are positive reactions and we are up 0.5%. So why are these numbers so good? Well, let's have a look. So we can see that the revenue is up from 1.25 billion last year to 1.7 billion this year. So it's almost 36% up year on year. Now, the more interesting part is actually the gross margin. So we're up to 18.7 from 14.5% last year. And I will explain why that is in the next slide. But before that, let's have a look at the EPS. And this is actually what's really juicy. I mean, look at this. 750% increase year on year in the EPS. These numbers are just what we want to see for a company to 10x, 20x. Again, I'm not expecting this to happen every single quarter, but these kind of numbers, they are just like absolute monumental good performance. They saying that the revenue will be around 2.4 to 2.6 billion US dollar for the Q2, and that put us at a run rate around 10-ish billion for the full year of 2023. And just to give you a comparison to last year they were in at 7.5 billion, I think, billion US dollar. So this is a good above 30% increase year on year in revenue, which is really, really interesting. And to be honest, usually Canadian Solar is slower in the Q1 compared to Q2 and Q4. So I believe actually there's a good chance that we could see even above 10 billion US dollar. Now, the module shipment at 6.1 gigawatt for the solar panel side, not for the battery side, for the solar panel just 6.1 gigawatt. And this puts us at a run rate of just below 25. But again, Q2 will be, as they said in the earnings last night, and you can see on the third point there that it will be above 8 gigawatts. So we will definitely, in my opinion, see them going above their goal of 30 to 35 gigawatts for this year, or at least pushing that boundary of 35. Now, they raised the revenue of the 2023, their expected revenue, to almost 9.5 billion, which is again a very good sign if a company in this kind of market situation where there's a lot of problems for financing out there, people are not investing a whole lot in the solar panels when they have to invest in the food and in the gasoline. So this is still very good. And as I said before, they reiterated the goal of 30 to 35 gigawatt hours, which I believe that they will surpass. At least there's a good chance. And the battery storage shipments are between 1.8 to 2. So yeah, this is really, really interesting numbers. Now let's go to the next slide. Why do we see such an increase in the gross margin as we see here, 18.7% from 14.5%? Well, the main reason is actually in the polysilicon price, and it continues to drop from the high levels of last year and early this year. As you can see in the graph here, we are going really, really down and really, really fast. I mean, we were almost at 40 US dollars per kilo, and we are down to below 18. So this really helps us in the gross margin. They also have lower manufacturing cost, and in addition to that the Chinese currency has been coming down. So there's some currency rebalancing that's going on that helped the company's result. And just on the slightly less good is obviously the ASP. So the average selling price of the modules went down a bit, and this is something that we expect to continue in the long term. But also this is really good because it will enable much higher consumer adaptation of these kind of solar panels. So this is not a bad thing. We can see the same thing happening with Tesla, and they're lowering the prices and ASPs, but they in their turn get actually much higher total available market and consumers that are available to purchase the products at the right price. So going to why I believe this is still a really, really interesting case. I mean, look at this. So we have just below 65 million shares outstanding for the company, and the EPS of the first quarter is just below 1.2 US dollar. Now, they say that the full year 2023 revenue should grow at least by 27%. I believe this will get closer to 35%, looking at the stage of the data we have at the moment. The the margins seems to be improving, and again, as I said before, look at the polysilicon price. I don't think we're going back to the high levels of last year. So maybe going even slightly further down from this stage. So this definitely will help us in terms of margin, gross margin. Now, the interesting part also that I haven't spoken a whole lot about is the battery storage. And look at these numbers. So I managed to find that in their own release report last night, that as of March 2023, they have a capacity for the battery storage projects up to 2.5 gigawatt hours. But look at this number. I mean, this is insane. By December this year, they're planning to have something like 10 gigawatt hours of capacity by end of this year. So this is definitely something to hold an eye on, and hopefully you start to see that actually the battery storage business also going up a whole lot. And we know that that business actually has higher margins. So this is really good for the company. And then assuming just a slightly higher EPS in Q2 and also in the second half of the year. So let's say $1.50 on average for these 4 quarters of 2023. And we're getting to $6 EPS for the end of the year. And that gives us a PE ratio of, even below 7 times, 6 to 7 times, with a price to sales ratio of just below 0.3. And just to make a point, I showed you their expectations in terms of battery storage manufacturing capacity, but also let's have a look at this thing. I mean, their main business, the solar manufacturing capacity. So right now they're at 36 gigawatts, but look at this. By end of the year, they're expecting to have a capacity of 50, and also in mid next year or just early next year, they're talking of 75 gigawatts of solar module capacity. And if they manage to hit this kind of numbers here, first 50 and then 75, we will obviously see the results in the company's revenue going up. I mean, look at this, the revenue increased this year in Q1 to 1.7 billion on the basis of 6.1 gigawatts shipment in solar modules. Now, assume that they manage to double the run rate next year compared to this year. Now, if we are speaking of something like 12 to 15 gigawatt for Q1 of 2024, I mean, and if the margins and the polysilicon price is continually to drop, we could definitely see the EPS going up even much higher than it is today. I mean, I could see definitely the EPS going up to at least $2, maybe $3 or 4 for each quarter, and that would give us an EPS of run rate of above $10 per year. Now consider that, like $10 in EPS, and what is the stock price today? So going to the stock price today at 40. I mean, at the 10 EPS of next year for 2024, let's say we have a multiple of 20 times, that's $200 of stock price. Again, I'm not sure, it's speculative, but there is definitely some reality to this. If the polysilicon price continues to go down, and you can actually see on this web page, and they have many good explanations why that is. But I mean, if this continues to go down, and if they manage to execute on the 75 gigawatt for next year, that's definitely not a far-fetched, especially if the general market starts to rebound by end of next year. Maybe, I don't know, maybe even multiple of 30 or 40x is warranted, especially for a company with this kind of, to be honest, insane amount of growth. Like, I could definitely see this company 10x. I definitely see this company 10x in 3 to 5 years if they continue to execute. And again, let's have a look at the IAEA. We can see that China is dominating in the polysilicon price, and the adaptation of the solar panels will continue. So if you just read this report when you have time, I can share the link from this link actually to the video, and you can read it when you have time. There is definitely room to grow. So just to end this video, I think that this is one of those golden cases, a possible golden case. So I will definitely follow this company. So, and yeah, let's continue to see the results for Q2 and Q3. So I will definitely continue to do videos on this company, and yeah, let's see what happens. So again, thank you for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe. That helps me a lot to continue to able to do this.